Thanks for joining this session of Shiftwork Summit. Will be led by Tony Unfried, who's the CEO of CSA 360. The session is Tech that Bolsters Customer Trust with Accountability and Transparency. Tony is the founder and CEO of CSA 360. He previously managed operations at the largest security company in Indiana, and he launched his first security software application at the Super Bowl in 2012. Tony, we're looking forward to this session, and thank you for your time. I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jared. So yeah, as Jared mentioned, Tony Unfried, founder of CSA 360. Prior life worked in the security world, which has become very important and prominent in very much so shift work. And we build operation software for safety and security teams. We help them bring structure and accountability and visibility to their daily operations. And today I'm going to share how we're using AI and GPS tracking to transform that transparency and trust, not just with teams, but with our clients. So I'll start with some quick context around what we do. And that is we're built for safety and security operations. That goes everything from staffing, scheduling, timekeeping, clocking in, clocking out, incident tracking, and then GPS tracking. So we're seeing a shift really over the last year is much bigger shift than we've seen over the last 10 to 15 prior to that. A lot of that is just because the buzzword of AI, the use of AI, and just how fast companies and platforms are allowed to innovate now. And so that's where technology like the AI and the GPS real-time tracking come in. They actually make trust measurable. So it's no longer a blind trust or an after the fact trust. Now it's real-time measurable trust and transparency. So like I said, the demand for professional security services is becoming more prominent. It is growing. And corporations, so yeah, you have major corporations that need it. Just read the news every day about something that's happening, crime that's happening, or theft or whatever that's happening in major corporate campuses. Think data centers, warehouses, logistics, pharmaceuticals. And then that kind of goes into those campuses to where you have a full industrial or business park type campus. Think about school campuses, and then also venues, sports arenas, college and pro sports arenas, event venues, concert venues, anything where now we're shifting from protecting people, property, mostly in your business campuses and less people, to now we have one venue that might have anywhere from 10 to 100,000 people. So the industry is actually facing some real challenges because there's so many blind spots in visibility. Incident response might be slow, and then often that makes your clients a little bit skeptical on what's actually happening in real time. You can't put a camera in every location, and lots of facilities try, but humans can't watch hundreds, if not thousands, of cameras all at the same time. It's just not feasible. So that's where you need a little bit of some AI or some GPS tracking to really track where those people are and where those incidents are happening. And that's why workforce automation is really no longer optional. The industry, the need, the society is saying you have to do this. And that's what allows security providers to stay efficient and credible in a 24/7 world, is that automation. So talking about that transparency and visibility, our foundation is transparency. Since day one, when we launched it, as Jared said, we launched this at the Super Bowl. We have over 17 modules now, but back then it was really two. And we dove in head first, right into a pool of lava, and said, let's do this. And from the start, clients, whether that's the facility, the venue, the other company that's hired security, they've always had real time access to view whatever that may be, whether it was scheduling, are you fully scheduled? Or where exactly are your guards and what type of incidents are happening? They've always had that real time access with us. So we've always been based on providing our users the transparency and visibility. And now we are just stepping up the game because our system can auto generate reports, analytics, track GPS locations, allow clients and end users to see in real time where people are that are on your clock. So those clients can always at any time, they could call up the security supervisor and say, who is at the back gate? And in real time, they'll be able to pull up and look at it. We also give them that ability to just go in and look themselves. So trust and verify all at the same time. And so what that does is then that lowers the amount of phone calls. If you've ever been in a security operations center, think a 911 call center. If you had to hear every phone call and every question, like it's just nothing but ringing. And so now those rings are turning into data points. And they're getting the clients have more confidence now in the safety and security of their provider. Not only that, we're building in now that we can track all these data points where every employee, so to speak, we might have their skill, their location, their readiness, their ability, whether that's physical ability, emotional ability, educational ability, their knowledge of how to walk into a situation. We have all of that data. And so when an alarm triggers, AI can say, who's close? And based on who is close, who has the best ability to respond to the situation. So you're probably going to have someone respond to a situation differently if it is a water leak or differently if it is a slip and fall versus someone just drove a car through the back gate or there's a fight or God forbid something worse, an active shooter or something like that. Really, this AI is that first responder assistant. It's going to much quickly process all the data we have and help the human make a decision. So then one of those employees can then go respond to that incident. Planning. Now, I've talked a little bit about what we're doing in real time, but we want some historical data. And so that's where some of you have heard of Peter Drucker, you can't manage what you don't measure. So if you're not measuring and tracking data points of where incidents are happening, when incidents are happening, how they're happening, maybe even why they're happening. The why could be there's civil unrest, there's picketing going on, there's other external social factors, or the why could be we have a short in our access control and we need to fix that. Having said all of that, we want to be able to measure all of that. So we are continuously capturing data, just like we're recording IP cameras and CCTV, right? So we are constantly tracking incidents, employee schedules, employee certifications, on while they're on site, employee locations. Then you can build out heat maps and you can plan your scheduling matrix and even budgeting. What's it going to cost us if we have an event coming up? What type of event? Is the event the Wiggles at a theater or is the event Ozfest at a major stadium? Those are going to be very different types of staffing and locations are just going to be different. So now we can forecast budgeting. The money controls everything. So now we can forecast budgeting, and all these records become the backbone of planning, training, accountability. And it's essentially like having a security camera for all of your operations to where you can get a really good view of everything that's happening or predict what might happen based on historical evidence. Real quick, I'm going to switch over to our actual software and show you how we're actually using the live GPS tracking, whoops, and show a couple different views. So right now I've already logged in. I've pulled up historical dates. This was actually a couple weeks ago when we were at the GSX conference and we're honing in on a date, and now I've got some historical data, and I can see when the shift started, when the person was idle, when they might have been driving. We have a geo-fenced area here, so you can see at some point this person left the area and took a little tour around town. And so now we have notifications to where once they left the site or the scene, we have a notification that person left. Might have been a valid reason, or they might have just said, you know what, I'm going to take 20 minutes off. Now the supervisor needs to know when this person is on shift in real time if they leave. The other option here is if I go in the reverse, is now I've got some live data on the tracking, and then I can also view in real time who's where, right? So I can go in and say, all right, I'm supposed to have somebody on the north side of Indianapolis right now. Are they there? Yep, they're there. All right, we're good. That's just a quick view. A lot more that can go into that. But the idea is to show here is that I can see live tracking, who's on shift. I can go through and see who's on shift, who's not on shift. You can give them post orders if somebody's doing a driving tour and they're checking in, making sure buildings are locked up or unlocked or things like that. I can see that history. And then when they get to those locations, they can actually get some quick post orders. I need to check the front door, the back door, go inside and check in with the front desk clerk or whatever that may be. So that's how we've integrated the real time GPS net necessity these days with our product. Moving on, going back to that supervisor and trust. Now you've seen what we do and heard a little bit about it, and now we're creating that accountability. So now let's go down into that employee level. We've talked about the client of CSA 360. We've talked about their clients, which might be a venue, a facility, a warehouse. Now let's talk about the actual individual employee. So now they know that they are being held accountable. And this isn't we hear about it. This isn't Big Brother. What we're actually seeing in this industry is that these security officers appreciate the accountability. Number one, they know that their brother or sister down the hall or around the corner that's supposed to be backing them up is being held accountable. So they know that they're there and they're being tracked. They also know that they are personally being tracked, and that helps them with a little bit of safety in case something does happen and they need assistance or they need to be called for assistance. They know that now these decisions can be made in real time, and that's building confidence for everybody. Everybody from the building owner to the security company or security provider, all the way down to that security guard. And furthermore, the supervisors don't have to micromanage. They don't have to constantly walk around or make calls, radio calls, phone calls, text. They don't have to constantly check in. They can put some up on a screen and be notified if something happens, and therefore they can actually do their job, which might be planning for the next event or training or other security monitoring tasks. And then those clients can see all that performance data themselves. They don't have to wait weeks or days or months to get those summary reports. And they're getting those things, they're getting the data in real time. Because right now, everybody is just hungry for data. Everybody wants data. They want to see the data, they want to feel the data, they want to plan for that data. Let me go back to here is that the security world, like I said, it's changing fast. AI and automation, they are not trends, they are not realities. The phrase we all hate that came out in 2020 during a certain area of life we all don't like to remember, but it's the new normal, right? These are realities. AI and automation are not going away, they're not fads, they're creating trends of faster innovation. They're creating trends of transparency, trust, efficiency. We've always focused on efficiency for the 15 years we were here or we've been around. We are becoming more efficient every day. We are helping and enabling security teams to become more efficient every day. 10 years ago, our even longer, like when we launched at the Super Bowl, our competitor was paper. Everyone thought that paper was free. Everyone thought that just tracking things on a clipboard, that was free, that was easy. But turns out illegible documents aren't helpful. especially if you have litigation. They're really hard to collate the data. There's obviously no instant visibility. So that all is changing, right? That's gone. So our roadmap has always been focused on transparency, trust, and efficiency. And now with things like GPS tracking, live GPS tracking, it's just making our world so much easier. So I would say if you just remember one thing from my 20 minutes of rambling here, it's just remember this. Transparency is building trust, and AI and real live GPS tracking are making that trust scalable. As we've talked about before, radio calls, text messages, and clipboards are not scalable. Real-time GPS means accountability that you can prove, not just claim that it's out there. And in this unpredictable world, CSA 360 is delivering that clarity for supervisors, clients, customers, security teams. So thank you. That's all I have. And I look forward to any questions. I'm happy to dig into any AI use cases, guard tour automation, client facing dashboards, anything else that Jared may have for us. So I'll flip
Awesome.
it back to you, Jared.
Cool. Great. That's an awesome presentation. Thanks, Tony. Really interesting to think about this idea about accountability and trust being measurable and technology helping us do that. Really appreciate these ideas. And some of the questions we have here, we have a few, so I'll hop to it. Off the top of your head, can you share some larger industry stats about size of market and what verticals do your customers sell into?
I'm not exactly sure what market that's asking about, but we have estimated that just in North America, the security industry is over $1 trillion market.
Uh,
Because you think about anywhere you see a security guard, that's who needs this real-time visibility. That's everything from a high-end residential facility to an apartment complex to think of like an Amway or a Roche where they're doing lots of research and distribution to the obvious ones where you have hundreds of thousands of people in one location, Lucas Oil Stadium where the Colts play or Michigan's football stadium, right? So all of those markets, hospitals, those all come into play here. And what was the second part of that question?
you answered it. It was about what verticals do your customers sell into?
Yeah, yeah, it's hard to say. Like we service anyone and everyone that has security guards,
Yeah,
typically mid to large enterprise size, and then major sporting events and event arenas.
cool. Another question. Is it customers or workers who are pushing for the transition from IoT and hardware to mobile-based technologies?
To be honest, I think it might depend on the industry, but it's both because sometimes customers are pushing their guard services to innovate because they want that real time transparency. But on the other hand, the employees, when they know about it, they're asking for it because it's saving them a lot of time and work. I think about 10, 15 years ago, if we can compare a separate industry, everybody remembers when electronic medical records and health records came about, and these doctors were being required to use software to do their charting. And it took them forever to do it. And so it's the same thing here is that at the end of the day, if I have to go write out a daily activity report of every single thing I did, that's a lot of extra time. I just want you to track me throughout the day. And now my daily activity report has been automated. So it's really coming from top down and bottom up. The guards are the ones that have to spend all this time. They just want to do their job and then be done with it. They don't want to have to do a lot of the clerical work. And this is automating that.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. Efficiency and all throughout the
Yep, exactly.
organization. Yeah. A last question here is, or the most recent question was, how common is it for your end customer to use video surveillance technologies, and how would you contrast that with live location tracking?
Yeah, pretty much all of them are using cameras with our software. And so a lot of times we'll integrate back and forth with that. So a workflow would be alarm goes off, and that may or may not be part of the whole camera system. Alarm goes off, sends all that event data to us. Now we have a ticket to work. We've collected the data. Our system is now helping decide who should respond to that data. In the meantime, we're kicking that information back to the camera system that might have a map of all cameras and say, here's your camera, click there. So now you can view exactly where this incident is happening. So it's a circle wherever it may start could be different. Somebody could call in and say, I've got an issue. Okay, where are you? Or they could text into our system and say, where are you? And drop a pin. And now we're tracking all that data. We push that to a video management system that'll instantly pop up that camera in question rather than trying to scroll through a list of 100 or 1,000 cameras. Pull it up on a map, or we'll send it and say, this is the camera you need to be pulling up.
So
So
it's about,
lots of integrations back and forth.
yeah, using these technologies in conjunction.
Exactly.
Interesting. Yeah, so the last question here is, what are the most surprising industries where private security is unexpectedly becoming larger?
That's a great question. I would say private residences is increasingly growing. We have some customers that manage high net worth individuals, and they may have 4 or 5 different houses. And so they need to be able to monitor all of those places at once: houses, cars, boats, planes, all of those things at once. And I think 10 years ago, when those people would go to events, they might hire one close protection, executive protection guard to be with them. Basically, they hire an off duty cop to put on a suit and hang out with them and keep them safe. Now, a lot of these families are requiring 24-hour surveillance. So it's an unnecessary evil. I think that's one of the big ones. And then schools, for obvious reasons, just pick the news any day. Schools are starting to document their visitor management. When we were in school, you could probably walk in any door. And now there's one door, and that door is probably locked, and you have to hit a buzzer, and somebody's going to look at you on a camera, and then you're going to walk in. And a lot of these schools are now using visitor management systems, which we also have as a module. So now I have to check in. It might even be doing a background check on me before I can go pick up my own kid. Schools, unfortunately, have definitely grown over the last 6 to 8 years.
Got it. Interesting. Very kind of sobering information, but it's
Right.
very useful that your technology is in place to manage these situations. With that, thank you, Tony. We really appreciate you joining us. I think you added a unique perspective, and you're a great session to close out the day here.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it,
you.
and thanks for your comments.
Absolutely.
Take care.